During which stage of a migration should you benchmark site performance metrics?
Good question. Also, there's several different stages that we look at, and in fact, if as a member of the All Stars, if you check out the redesigning your website without crushing your rankings or tanking your rankings, I forget what I called it exactly. That will go through 4 different stages, from like preliminary stages to pre-launch to launch to post-launch, basically, right? And in essence, you want to benchmark all the time. You want to benchmark in particular before you launch a new website. Get a look at your benchmarks, right? What kind of people visiting your site? How often they're visiting your site? What kind of time spent on your site? How many, what kind of engagement rate do they have on your site right now? Track everything we just talked about in regards to how to keep an eye on what things to report conversion wise, right? Form fills and whatnot. Well, have a list of that. What's your tracking? What are you looking at? Keep that stuff ready to go before you launch, right? And then after you launch, well, check it now, right? Is it better or worse? If it's worse, really worse, well, you might want to go back to the way it was, If it's much better, great. If it's kind of down the middle, some things are better, some things are worse, well, maybe you got to make some tweaks to your website. But you should always be tracking and benchmarking, things like in Google Analytics, Google Search Console. Are you getting more clicks from Google now? Are you getting less clicks? Which pages are getting clicked? If you've changed your URL structure, are you getting more 401 errors? Like people aren't finding the old pages. So you really have to be benchmarking. You should be benchmarking all the way, but definitely benchmark right before a migration. And remember, it could be the month before, 3 months before, 6 months before, the year before, and then benchmark those same things again after. And mark down the date of your migration. Make sure you know what day you rolled over your site, so that a year from now, 2 years from now, if you're comparing stuff, you can see when you change from one to the other, because you want to be able to compare apples to apples. And if you're comparing what happened on one site, in June of this year, but last year you had a different website, it's hard to really compare 2 different websites if they're really completely redesigned at the same time. So benchmark before the rollover, benchmark after the rollover, compare, contrast, and then fix or update or tweak whatever you need to do to get those benchmarks to the place you want them to get to.